Hello and welcome. Let's talk about the Hyper-V deployment models. Here's a breakdown of key methods to implement Microsoft Hyper-V as a server role or a client environment. So predominantly, Hyper-V is used in a large enterprise production environment as a Type 1 hypervisor, which is a role and a feature that gets installed on Windows Server Standard and Data Center editions. And this is where the host OS becomes the secure management OS partition. Now, installing this on a Windows Server as a role, it's going to give you an ability to do live virtual machine migrations, live virtual machine replicas, and virtual fiber channel mapping. And you're also able to use storage area network storage targets. And the best part is that you can either choose to install it as a GUI, which is going to be a role and a feature, or during the Windows Server installation, you can also choose to install this as a core version, which is going to be your command line and PowerShell interface. Let's talk about the client Hyper-V. Now, this is where people get confused. It looks pretty much identical to a Type 2 hypervisor, but it's actually a Type 1 hypervisor. I promise you, it is a Type 1 hypervisor, and it's a feature that's included with Windows 10 and Windows 11 Pro, Enterprise, and Education editions that you have to enable. And this is predominantly used for development, testing, and sandbox purposes. The only drawback here is you are not able to do live VM migrations and virtual machine replicas on your different Hyper-V instances. And when I say instances, I am referring to that you also cannot do clustering. But for the purposes of this video, we are going to be looking at installing the client Hyper-V role in Windows 11, as this is a dev box for the most part, and this is a lab. So I will walk you through the whole process. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of things, I wanted to go over the network topology with you. As you can see in the middle, we have our ASUS router, which is also going to be used as a switch. It's got a static IP address of 192.168.100.100. Over here, we have our Hyper-V host, which is called ZACKNET-HV1, and it's got an IP address of 192.168.100.101. And we also have another Hyper-V host, which is called ZACKNET-HV2, and it's got a static IP address of 192.168.100.102. And I'm using Ethernet to connect over to the ASUS router, which is also going to be used as a switch. And this ASUS router right here goes out to the internet using its WAN interface. So the plan is to install Hyper-V on our host 1 and also on our host 2. And depending upon what the future looks like, if we need to scale things out, we might even add a host number 3. All right, let's get ready to dive in. First things first, you want to make sure that virtualization is enabled on your CPU. And to do that, you're going to have to go to your BIOS settings and enable the virtualization option. Once you've done that, go ahead and log into your Windows 11 or Windows 10 workstation. And what you will want to do is go to the start menu, and in the search, you will type in Windows feature, and it will pop up with the menu turn Windows feature on or off. So when you go on here, you will see an option for Hyper-V. Go ahead and check mark that option. You want to make sure you're installing Hyper-V Management Tool and Hyper-V Platform. Hit OK on that, and it's going to start installing the required files. And pretty soon here, it's going to ask you to do a reboot or a restart, and go ahead and hit that restart button, and you will have Hyper-V successfully installed. All right, so after a successful restart, you're going to go on search and you will type in Hyper-V Manager. Right off the bat, the Hyper-V manager will load up, and you can see I just installed the Hyper-V on ZACKNET HV2, and I also have installed Hyper-V on ZACKNET HV1. Now, it's important to understand that both of these hosts, I have a static IP address going, and I am going to add my ZACKNET HV1 to this Hyper-V using the IP address. So this is my IP address for ZACKNET HV1 and hit OK on this. And right off the bat, we get an error. Now, what this error means is that there is some kind of a trust relationship issue going on, and we are going to fix that real quick. The best way to go about it is to go to your Windows Defender firewall and make sure that the Windows Defender firewall is turned off. And we want to make sure that this is the case for both of the hosts that we are working with. And then after that, the important thing to consider is make sure you have an administrator account. And that administrator account is supposed to have a strong password. Try to keep the same administrator account on both of the hosts. Okay, you want to keep the same local administrator account on both of the hosts and in the groups. You want to make sure that the local admin account has group membership to Hyper-V administrators and also has access or membership to the administrators group. And once you're done with that, go ahead and launch PowerShell as administrator. And then in PowerShell, we want to get WinRM going. To do that, type in enable s remoting. And after this, what we want to do is, because these workstations or these hosts are not Active Directory domain joined, you must tell WinRM to trust each other. So typically I usually do set item ws man :/localhost client trusted hosts, and the value that I usually like keeping here is an asterisk. What this asterisk is telling us that it's a wildcard mask, so it's going to trust pretty much anything because it's a lab environment, and this is the way we're going to choose to go. It's just simpler that way. And then we're going to do a force. Okay, once you're done with this, and now what we're going to do is we're going to connect to our host 01 and do the same thing on host number 1. But you want to make sure that you're using a local administrator account, which is uniform for both of the hosts with the same password, okay, and with the correct group permissions. So let's get started with this guy. Enable this remoting, and then after this, what you want to do is you are going to tell WinRM service to trust each other. So set item ws man : :localhost client trusted hosts. Value is going to be, of course, asterisk, and then we are going to force this. Once you're done with this, go ahead and hit that restart button on both the hosts. After the restart, let's try to connect back and try to access the host number 1, and it should just work perfectly off the box. Voila, here we are. We got ZACKNET HV1 and ZACKNET HV2. An important consideration to note right now is that I am on ZACK HV2. So I'm going to click over that, and we are going to create a virtual switch. So click on Virtual Switch Manager, and we will create an external switch for our WAN interface. So that way our virtual machines that we choose to put on this are able to get internet. And I will keep this checked for right now. Allow management operating system to share this network adapter, because I don't want Hyper-V to exclusively hijack my Ethernet adapter on my workstation. And I will also create another internal switch. This one is going to be used to isolate the virtual machines from the external environment and will allow me to create my own internal domain. So let's go ahead and call this as internal network and go ahead and hit apply. Hit yes. And there we go. And we're going to do the same thing for ZACKNET HV1. So go over to the Virtual Switch Manager. And let's create an external switch called WAN. From the drop down, let's keep it at Ethernet connection and keep this checked. Hit apply. And we will also create an internal switch. And we will keep it as internal network. And there we go.